Rambam says, "Lo yichvov komosa kibalik hatot teres." When you walk, you should not walk as if you have a hunchback, like totally bent over. Meaning, you should have a normal posture. Your gait should be normal, and your posture should be erect, but not walk with an arrogance, the gait of an arrogant person. El mistaka lamato, meaning physically you're not bent, but your eyes are downcast, as if you're in the middle of the Amida. Meaning that you're not on a fact-finding mission. Some people they look all over. You're not interested in your surroundings. You should look downward. When you walk in the market, you appear like a person, you're preoccupied in something in your thought. What's the whole idea? Sometimes you meet a person, you say, you look like you have a lot on your mind. Meaning, because of who he is and what he has and what he represents, his level of focus is he's focused on what he has in his mind. So therefore, he appears as if he's preoccupied with something which is worthwhile to be preoccupied. He's not a person who his mind is empty and just looking to be filled with things, with distractions. Gam b'mahalcho shel odem nikar hu chochom ubaldeo o shoter sochel. We speak about body language, stereotyping a person. From the way a person walks and his gait, it's recognizable if he's wise and he's a person who's introspective, or shoter for sochel, or he's unstable and a fool. You ever see a person walking the street like happy-go-lucky? He's bouncing from every side. At least call them what are they called? The boppers. Okay. The man doesn't have much on his head, in his mind. He's a fool. Years ago, I used to say, one time, long time ago, I had a doctor's appointment. This is in the 60s, downtown Baltimore. I had to go to the doctor. So in those days, every penny counted. So instead of taking a cab, I took a bus. And the bus trip to go way downtown, there was a street called East Utah Street. Took about over an hour. And when you would go on this bus, you go through many neighborhoods. Go through the suburbs, by a golf course, this and that. I go past a golf course, people were there with their caddies on the golf green, with the golf clubs. Go further down, you see they have these candy stores and these people sitting outside on milk boxes playing dominoes and playing cards. And here I'm coming from my environment where I'm invested in studying Torah between about 12 hours a day without distraction. Meaning my day is meaningful, and these people, is that the value of a person's life, to sit and just whittle away your time, whittle away your life, to play cards all day, smoke cigarettes, and play dominoes? I was like taken aback. I thought, what a waste of life. It's a waste. So when you say these people, what they're involved in, what does it say about them? And we're not talking people who are retired, old people. They're not old people. They're people who should be involved in levels of responsibility. These people live in lives with no responsibility, just from what they're occupied with. So a chocham, a person who's wise and introspective, when he walks, his gait, his facial features, his mindset, it reflects on who he is. But a person's a fool, person's bored as being unstable, it's clear he's all over the place. He's not on that straight, narrow path. It's not something's planned out. King Solomon said in his great wisdom, Gam b'derech shasochel holech libo choser. The fool, when he walks, it's obvious that his mind, his emotion is empty. And he's announcing to the world, I'm a fool. This is without even saying a word, just the body language, the way you walk, your posture, your movements, your facial features. You can tell a person he's somebody of substance or somebody has no substance whatsoever. And I'm not talking about substance abuse, Larry. I'm not talking about that. No substance. Rashid told me a story, in Europe, that a number of very special yeshivas, only the greatest, most advanced students studied there. One of them was Slabotka. All the great Torah giants studied there, the great geniuses. Then there was a yeshiva in Europe called the Mir. It was Mir, Poland. And you had another a city in Belarus, it was called Kamenets. And then you have the Chofetz Chaim's yeshiva, was called Radin, Radin. Radin, that was the Chofetz Chaim's yeshiva. And very often, even though you studied one yeshiva, people would go and spend a number of weeks in another yeshiva to have the benefit of the one who lectured in the other yeshiva. You would go there just to be exposed to another approach to Torah learning. So my yeshiva went to Radin for 6 weeks to hear some of the Torah lectures, which were also very advanced level, was different type, different emphasis. And he spent 6 weeks there. Slabotka, the students dressed in a very princely manner. And they were into style, but they were into style not to be into style, because since they represent Torah, that the ordinary person should see them as somebody of princely status. So Mar Shiva came to Radin, he was wearing a red tie. Red, here. Walks into Radin, and the Chofetz Chaim notices him. He must have been a student, 18 years old, but he was very accomplished. He already published a work at the age of 18, and the Chofetz Chaim sees him wearing a red tie. So Chofetz Chaim approaches him, and my Rashiv knew who the Chofetz Chaim was, of course, and he says to him, that red tie is not appropriate for you. That since you represent, red is usually something which is borders on, it draws attention. It's something which represents flirtatious. That's what it represents. People take notice. There's a certain connotation. Therefore, for a yeshiva student, especially a person who's really a Talmud Chacham, it's not appropriate. And he told him, I think you should take off the tie. Get yourself, wear another tie. That's not the color tie you should wear. Because we discuss now the attire of a Talmud Chacham should be a certain attire. It should be like low-key, conservative, but low-key. It shouldn't call attention to people. Rambam number 9. Malbush Talmud Chacham. The garment, the attire of Talmud Chacham, Malbush Noi V'Noki. It's pleasant looking and it's clean. It has to be clean. The Gemara, based on a verse, says that if Talmud Chacham wears a garment that's not clean, it's Chil Hashem. It's disgracing God's name. It's totally inappropriate. So it has to be pleasant looking and clean. It's forbidden that on his garment you should see a stain or some type of food item that's absorbed in the garment. It's inappropriate. Lo yilbash lo malbush melochim go big dezov vargomon shakom stakmo. He shouldn't wear ornate garments that are broidered with gold thread, brocade, purple, where everybody's going to start, he's going to draw notice. He should be under the radar, more unassuming, because that displays humility. And who wants attention? If you want to be the life of the party, you want attention. This person is looking not to be the life of anybody's party. He's there, he goes, almost, he wants to be inconspicuous, anonymous. You should not wear the garment of a poor person, because if that's the case, you're actually embarrassing the person who's wearing it. They'll look at you like a beggar. Meaning mediocre type of pleasant, clean clothing, which are pleasant looking. Let's say you wear such a refined type of linen garment, it's almost like opaque, and you could see the person's flesh almost through the garment. It's inappropriate. Even though it's the most refined type of cotton or linen, it's not appropriate. Lo yibgodov schuvin al oretz, big ruach. In the old days, people, they would have the garments, they would be long, and they would walk, it would drag on the floor, on the ground. That was an indication of being pompous. You know, you let your garment drag on the ground, meaning because there's nothing that you can't have. The garment, you don't go till your ankle, until what? Until your knuckles. No longer. Ad rosh etzbosav, until the tips of his fingers. L'yishalshel taliso le'shenir gasus ruach el b'shalus bevad. You should wear your garment normally, not thrown over your shoulder. Emein lo lahachlif. You know, there was a photographer. He put out a book of the photographs of the ghetto at the beginning of World War II. And you see children, the level of poverty in the ghetto, the Warsaw Ghetto, and other ghettos, where the shoes they wore were patched. Not only the sole was patched, the top of the shoe was patched, and you had one patch on top of another patch, which indicated how poor these people were. They were a level of destitution not to be believed. A Talmud Chacham should not wear that kind of shoe, if he could avoid it. Why? Because again, what does it say about him? You know, he's in a destitute state. One patch on another, be mosachama in the summertime. Because why? In the winter, in those days, the roads weren't paved. The shoe was covered with mud because they weren't paved. But in the summertime, where the shoe is exposed, you see the leather, and you see one patch on top of another patch. It's inappropriate. If he's poor, he's permitted to wear that type of shoe because it's not noticeable to others. Let's see a person he wants to put on cologne, and he wears cologne when he's walking down the street. You know, all the cats are running after him. Right? It's that kind of cologne. You shouldn't wear cologne on your body, or the garments are actually perfumed. Perfumed garments. Lo yosim bosam bisaro. You shouldn't put perfume in your hair. That's interesting. The Gemara tells us that a person who was a homosexual, a male, he would put perfume on his hair and on his garments. Why? Because he wanted to attract people like himself. A woman attracts men. A man doesn't want to attract anybody. So if he's interested in attracting someone, who's he attracting? He's attracting somebody of the same gender. So he'll be suspect. So on your body, you could put perfume or cologne. Not to why? So the Gemara says because the body sweats, and as a result of sweating, the perfume, the intent will be diluted. But when you put it on your hair, there's no sweat in your hair. So the perfume will retain its intensity. If it retains its intensity, it'll draw attention. And people will say that he's of a certain ilk, or if it's on his garments, he's also of that certain ilk. Therefore, he should not wear it. Avodim moshach besoro bebosem, but if you put the perfume on his skin, kedei lahavir es azuma muter. Let's say in the old days they had oils that were perfumed, and they would use that to clean the hands. Like we have today, we have liquid soap, which has a fragrance. After they would eat, they would actually use that fragrant oil to clean the hands. That's okay. Person should not walk himself in the night. Why? Person all of a sudden is walking at night. People say, where's he going? Where are you going 11:30 at night? We're talking about a city where you don't find people going at night. Evidently, you have somebody waiting for you. That's where you're going. Well, you go to a brothel, you go have something set up with another woman, that's where you're going. Even though that may not be the case. But if people could suspect that, it's a problem. He says, only if it's a time where people know, people go study. Let's say the basement is open till 1 in the morning, and people all day, all night. You have people going there, it's not a problem. But beyond that, where people don't have an obvious answer why he's walking himself at night, they'll say, he has a woman waiting for him somewhere. All these issues, of course, he's suspect. Either he has an interest in the same sex, gender-wise, or he has somebody he propositioned and he's going to meet her. There's a verse initially in Proverbs where King Solomon says, if people speak about you in a certain context due to suspicion, you should be above that, and you shouldn't even be seen or considered to be that kind of person, because you're seen inappropriate. I'll give you an example. Person negotiates a deal, and the way he did the deal, people say, the man is a thief. So you could say, look, let them believe what they want. I know who I am. It's irrelevant to what the world thinks. No, it makes a difference. Why? Because since you're a Jew, you have an obligation to maintain the obviousness of your integrity. You should never be seen in the negative light. So if due to some level of misunderstanding or not obvious, you shouldn't go there, and you should clarify that you're not what people may think you are. So initially, to behave in a way where people may suspect that you are that's inappropriate. You should always be seen in a positive class, not in the negative.
Rabbi, there's an old saw, SAW, there's an old saw that says, even Groucho Marx said it, Lahavdil, kind